Hi guys, welcome back again uh, to another episode of Football Heaven 24/7. Just going to do a review on weekend's action in League One, League Two, and then I'm going to nip into the conference and look at what's going on there in the National Conference. So yeah, looking at League One, Peterborough top of the table. They've had two wins on the bounce now after winning 3-0 at home to Morecambe this weekend. Morecambe had some great chances through Cole Stockton and Ashley Hunter to get a couple of goals back in the game, which may have made the game go differently. But Peterborough under Grant McCann are ultimately continuing their great form that they always have in League One, scoring a lot of goals. Goals from Ward Thompson and Kyprianou, the Greek player, allowed them to win that game 3-0 against Morecambe. Then looking at other teams that came down from the Championship last season, Barnsley, they've not had a great start. They've had a defeat, but they got back to winning ways at the weekend, beating Cheltenham 1-0, a goal from Thomas. Bolton, who I predicted at the start of the season would be up near the playoffs, um, they had a convincing 3-0 win in a really, well, quite a packed out stadium for them. They had 17,416 people. They were playing Wycombe Wanderers. They won convincingly 3-0, two goals from Dempsey and one from Morley. Bristol Rovers, after having a rocket last weekend for losing 2-1 at home to Forest Green from their manager Joey Barton, absolutely smashed Burton Albion away from home 4-0. Goals from Evans, Connolly, and two from Collins gave them a 4-0 win there. Then it was another battle between two teams that used to be in the Premier League years ago when I was a young lad. Charlton were up against Derby. There's a big crowd there for that game as well. Um, Derby brought over 3,000 fans apparently, but they ended up losing, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you support. A goal from Blackett Taylor on the 62nd minute meant that Charlton won that game 1-0. So they got back to winning ways, Charlton, after having a 2-2 draw at Accrington the week before. Exeter City won 4-0 against Port Vale. Goals from Kite Brown, two goals, and Nombi scored a goal as well to make that 4-0. Fleetwood caused a bit of a shock after looking like one of the favourites at the start of the season to go down to get relegated. I still think they might do. Under Scott Brown, the former Celtic legend, they beat Plymouth 2-1, having gone 1-0 down on the 23rd minute. Goals from Batty and James Garner made it 2-1 to Fleetwood. Forest Green lost 2-1 at home to Ipswich, but they put up a really good fight. They had a goal from March, but Ipswich scored two goals early on in the first half from Harness and Morsey to make that score finish 2-1 to Ipswich. MK Dons, who did well last season in League One against Sheffield Wednesday, did quite well. Both of them ended up in the playoffs last year. Wednesday came out on top with a penalty from Windus on the 22nd minute to win 1-0 in that game. Then it was the battle of the two universities in League One. Oxford against Cambridge. A crowd of just over 8,000 saw this game. Oxford came out on top against their university rivals, winning 1-0. And then Portsmouth, the Cowley brothers were up against Lincoln City now. Portsmouth players had been really ill a few days before this game, which I didn't know anything about until I'd seen it in the paper at the weekend. But yeah, they've been really ill. So to come up, the game finished 0-0. Cowley brothers were obviously playing against their old team, Lincoln City, but as it turned out, both teams got a point, which was good for the Lincoln fans in a way because obviously they had a long way to travel to get to that game. My mate Graham went to watch Shrewsbury against Accrington at the weekend. Don't know why. He likes to go everywhere. Fair play to him. But he told me it was a pretty poor game, apart from a fight between the goalkeeper and one of the players, which meant that the player got the goal. I think it was the player or the goalkeeper got sent off. No, the goalkeeper got sent off. So it livened up the game. It gave Accrington the upper hand, and Accrington got a goal on the 77th minute through Lee and won that game 1-0. There was quite a good crowd there as well, 6,500 for Shrewsbury Town's game. Then we're going, so at the top of the League One table, as I said earlier, it's Peterborough. Then surprise package, Exeter City are in second. And then the playoff areas, you've got Bolton, Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich and Charlton. So good start. Those four teams that are in the playoffs area for League One, No surprise that those teams used to be Premier League teams not that long ago. So, anyway, we're going to go into League Two. Barrow have had a fantastic start to the season. They've won 2 games on the bounce. They continued that great run, obviously, beating Bradford City 3-2 at home. Colchester had a great start, have not had too bad a start to the season. Well, they lost actually last weekend. They got a point though against Carlisle, drawing 1-1. Leighton Orient continue their good form after beating Grimsby 2-0 last week at home. They played Crawley Town in sort of a localish sort of derby, and away from home they beat Crawley 1-0. Another goal from defender James. I don't know if it was an absolute screamer like last week's goal, but yeah, Leighton Orient have had a great start. That's 2 wins out of 2 now. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I did predict Leighton Orient to get in the playoffs. Maybe they can get automatically promoted. It's too early. Excuse me, it's too early to call that, but we'll see what goes on. But anyway, Crewe were playing Harrogate. Crewe, another team I predicted to finish low in the league, in League Two. It seems like I'm getting this wrong already, even after a couple of games. Crewe won 3-0 against Harrogate. It's a very convincing win for them. Doncaster beat Sutton United 2-1 at home. Gillingham beat Rochdale 1-0. Grimsby drew 1-1 with Northampton having lost at Leighton Orient last week 2-0. Hartlepool drew 0-0 with Wimbledon. Mansfield beat Tranmere 1-0. Newport lost at home to Walsall 1-0. Goal from one of their old players, Demetriou. A penalty on the... Demetriou it was an own goal actually by Demetriou, the Newport defender. So Walsall have had 2 wins on the bounce, so that keeps Walsall top of League Two. Stevenage beat Stockport narrowly 2-1 at home. So Stockport have had a bad start to life back in League Two after an 11-year absence from the Football League. I'm sure they'll pick it up, but whether they'll finish in the promotion places like I predicted at the start of the season, who knows? It's going to be a tough one. But anyway, Swindon had almost a sellout at their ground. There was 9,158 fans there, but they ended up drawing 0-0 with Salford at home. So yeah, top of the table in League Two. Walsall are in first. You've got Crewe in the second spot, Leighton Orient in the third promotion spot, and then in the playoff areas you've got Barrow, Stevenage, AFC Wimbledon, and Salford City. So 1 or 2 surprises up there, mainly Crewe from what I predicted, and Barrow obviously, and Stevenage have caused a bit of a surprise because Barrow and Stevenage, they had a pretty poor season last year. So be interested to see what happens. That's the beautiful thing about Championship League 1 and League 2. You never know who's going to end up getting promoted because usually you might get one up there that you would have thought, but then you get 2 or 3 that you never would have thought. So it's always interesting. But anyway, like I say, in the previous episode, did a little look over the Premier League and the Championship things. But most notable things to look at was obviously Haaland's influence in the West Ham game on the Sunday, getting those 2 goals. He absolutely smashed it. Lived up to his reputation really, and I think a lot of people were predicting at the start of the season that he would end up top scorer of the Premier League with 30 goals. Now, providing he don't get an injury, I fancy that he will end up as the top goal scorer. Having seen him yesterday, the game wasn't that amazing. Man City sort of was passing the ball about, strolling around like they do with a lot of teams, to be fair. West Ham really didn't look at the races. They didn't really threaten too much in the game. I think they had like 1 shot on target, or if that. I think it was just 1 or 2 shots. So not great for West Ham, but to be fair, they're facing a really, really strong Manchester City team. So yeah, Manchester City done well. It's early days though, like it's only the first round of games in the Prem, so be interesting to see what happens. But anyway, so that was my League 1, League 2. As far as the National League goes, we're looking at the National League, and we look at the results from that weekend. Most notably, Notts County won 3-0 at Maidenhead. So I'll just run through it quick. First round of fixtures in the National League. Aldershot won, Solihull Moors 4, Altrincham 1, Maidstone United 1, Barnet 2, Halifax Town 0, Dagenham Redbridge 2, Gateshead 2, Dorking Wanderers 2, Chesterfield 2, Notts County 3, Maidenhead 0, Scunthorpe United, my other team, against Yeovil, they won 2-1. Southend lost 1-0 at home to Boreham Wood. Torquay and Oldham drew 0-0. Wealdstone beat Bromley 3-2 in sort of a localish derby. Wrexham beat Eastleigh 2-1. And York City, newly promoted, beat Woking 2-0. So, top of the table, Solihull Moors after that 4-1 win. In the playoff areas, you've got 6 teams in the conference. It's Notts County, Barnet, York, Wealdstone, Scunthorpe, and Wrexham. Anyway, that's my basic review there. It's been Football Heaven 24/7. Keep tuning in. We're going to do another episode soon. And all the best. Bye for now.